And I suggest to you that the reason that people with lower energies bring you down is not because it is them that are bringing you down, but it is because you join them in responding to them with the same energy that you despise. So if someone hates you and you hate them for hating you, you have responded to force with a counterforce. Anything above 200 is power. It's empowerment. Anything below 200 is force. If you get angry at somebody for being angry at you, if you get upset with somebody who is upsetting, if you get hateful towards someone who is acting hateful towards you, in your thoughts or in your actions, that is what it is that is bringing you down. But if you learn something else, something that St. Francis taught us in this prayer of St. Francis, this prayer isn't just a Catholic prayer. The prayer of Francesco is an 800-year-old technology for spiritual problem solving. Indeed, there is a spiritual solution to every problem. And energy moves from slow to high and low to fast, or reverse that, slow to fast and low to high. And that the lowest energies are the energies of the world of the physical. This hand looks like a solid mass, but if you look at it under a microscope, you know that it's not a solid mass. It's nothing but a bunch of molecules and atoms and subatomic particles all moving about. You know that. You know that inside there, despite what your eyes tell you, that inside here there is nothing but energy. And I've said a lot of things, and if there was an audiologist out there who was going to give you the energy report of the sound that was in this room, and all of the iridologist who was going to give you a report on all of the light in this room, you would discover that there are no problems in anything that was said or anything that you have seen. There are no problems in it. All they would do is show you, well, here's the energy. It would be a big scroll. They'd pull it out on an oscilloscope, and it would go like this, and then he said this, and then he said this, and you'd say, well, wait a minute, I thought maybe I heard him swear once, and that really kind of upset me. That was really a problem. And they'd say, no, can't find it in here. No, it's not in the report. The report just shows energy, but I didn't like that. Well, it's not in the report, because energy has no problems. It's only when we take it in and process it that it becomes a problem for us. There's no problems out there. And every problem that we have is located back here in this lowest energy field of all, the energy of the solid. And then we move up from the energy of light to the energy of sound, or of thoughts. And we actually think faster than light. And every thought that we have, as I've talked about in Power versus Force, has an energy component to it. And the higher the thought, as you move up towards love and peace and what I call intention, you change the impact that it has on everything in your life. Not just on everything in your body, but your life as well. And everyone that you impact. Some will feel better for being in your presence, some will feel worse. And the most astonishing piece of research, let me see if I brought it with me, is in the eye of the eye. This is one of the things that Hawkins concludes. One individual who calibrates at 700, if we had one individual calibrating at 700 on this planet, they would counterbalance the negativity of 70 million individuals who calibrate below 200. One person at 700 can counterbalance 70 million individuals who are at force or below. Imagine if there weren't people, enough people, who were moving the energy level of all of humanity with whom we are all connected. If we didn't have these people and this energy and this music and these books and these words and even events such as this going out across the world on the internet and so on, if we didn't have this, and we moved our collective consciousness to a place where we didn't have enough people above the 200 range, the collective negativity of the people who live at this energy level would self-destruct the entire human race. That's for you to know how important and significant it is for you to live at these higher levels. And what did Francesco, and when I wrote Spiritual Solution to Every Problem, this photograph, which calibrates just a little bit under 600, which means that carrying the energy, if you look at the last 3 books of mine that have been written, this one, A Spiritual Solution to Every Problem, the 10 Secrets book, and the Getting in the Gap, notice the design, notice the feel, notice the photos, notice the drawings, notice the way that it feels in your hand, because everything has an energy, and we can design books, and we can design to understand. When Linda held the CD next to her of Sky's Music, and then she held the aspartame, one of them made her go strong and one of them made her go weak. Everything has an energy. And when Nisargadatta said to me, you don't have to read this book, he said, this was in 1982, he said, just carry it with you. It was called I Am That. Just carry it with you, and the energy from the words that you carry with you will impact those around you. I said, this is just a crazy old fart. What could he be talking about? How could, and some of you are probably thinking that about me today. How could a person say that just carrying something around could impact? And then I began to see the research, and Power versus Force came into my life, and Dr. Hawkins, and I began to see that I can make an impact and a difference just simply by the things that I carry around with me, what I wear, how I speak, what I listen to. I can make, and I can carry something around. This photograph was taken in Assisi after I carried a young man named John Grable up the steps of this castle, and he had muscular dystrophy, and we were going up the steps, and suddenly, as I had him, he said, I can't go any further, because he walked like this. He had these huge braces, 20-pound braces on his legs, and he had to do this in order to get up each step. And then he had to take this one and go up the step. But this had a circular staircase in it, and it started to narrow, and he couldn't get his leg out any further. He could only go like this far. And he said, Wayne, he said, I can't go up any higher. I can't. And there was a line of people below us. And I said, John, all you have to do is put your arms around my back, and I'll carry you up the steps. And he weighed about 200 and some pounds with his braces, 6'1" man, 22 years old. And he got on my back, and I started carrying him up the steps, and then I remembered a couple of things. First, I remembered that I was 60 years old. And the second thing I had forgotten was that I had had a very serious knee injury. And I had been told that it was pretty seriously injured. I might even have to have surgery on it, possibility of replacement, all of that kind of stuff. And I couldn't even play tennis or run without a brace on it for the previous several years. And as I got about 4 or 5 steps up up that castle, suddenly my leg just started to buckle. And I realized that we were going to collapse, and I could see the headlines in the Assisi Daily News. You know, Guru collapses, and 2,000 people are all tumbling down this. And suddenly, the night before, I'd given a lecture on Francesco, and I had talked about his biographer, Nikos Kazantzakis, who had called him the last Christian, and what his calibration level was. I had been talking about that. And I saw, truly, I saw St. Francis. I saw him standing right there before me. And it was a transformation in my life. And my leg righted itself, and I stood up, and I started walking up those 3 flights of stairs. And suddenly I realized that my knee didn't hurt at all. And I started not just walking, but I started to run up the steps with this 200-pound man on my back at the age of 60. And I ran all the way up to the top, and my wife was up there at the top, and another 25 or 30 people who were there to see the place where St. Clare, she was the first woman admitted into the Franciscan order by Francesco. And I got to the top, and she said to me, my wife said to me, she said, what are you doing? She said, you ran up those steps. You're not even out of breath. Everybody else is trying to catch their breath from walking, and you ran up here with John on your back? That's not possible. And I went out, and I walked over to that ledge, and I put my hands together, and I was giving thanks in that moment. And someone on a trip snapped that photograph, and we made it the cover, and it was calibrated at such a high level. And to this day, that was almost 3 years ago. That was on the feast day of St. Francis, the 4th of October. I play tennis on this. I run on this knee. I haven't worn a brace since. I can dance on it. I could just, it's like the knee has been totally, completely healed. And it all took place in an instant.